Alright, so let it begin. For right now, for every one of these meshes, I want them super clean and named conventionally. That's very important. So edit, delete by type history. I go into window, I go to hypergraph, hierarchy, and I make sure all the polymesh surfaces are not part of any kind of group. Okay. Now that I scale them all up, I can get rid of this group, and how I get rid of a group is I click and drag, then click and drag over here. That gets rid of the group, and I can get rid of that group by hitting delete. Notice these are called polymesh surface 1, 2 through 1 billion. So in this case, going to name this door. And I can go like this, underscore door. Alright, so file, export selection, and this starts a new little package here, a folder within this called meshes. And I'll call this the same thing. Underscore door. Now over here, make sure that smoothing groups is on. The units are automatic. And I think that's it. I'm just going to click through these just to make sure that I shouldn't mention anything. No, it should be good to go. Okay. Good. Let's hit export selection. And let's go right into the engine and import that one. Okay, here's my content browser. Again, I want to import it into my package, so what happens is I could just right click or go down here and import it using the import button. But then when it asks, I have to choose my package. Make sure you choose your package, because if you do not do that, it will be a nightmare for you to organize this. So this is probably the most important window right now, in the fact that you have to get it right the first time. So remember, I named it 01 warehouse Jason Welsh, and I got auto 2. That's fine. Static mesh, and hit OK. Yes. Alright, so there's the door. Now, the thing about these static meshes are they need what? A collision model. So if I double click on this and I try using one of the collision models in here, like auto convex, I have to raise this up to an incredible amount just to get it so I can go through the doorway, and still then I'm tripping. You see this? So I'm going to have to make some stand-ins for these collision models. If I don't, I'm going to not be able to actually get into the door. Finally, at 7:28:49, I can get through the door. Still a little tripping on the corner there. Hit apply. Right now, I'm more concerned with scale, and I'll show you how to make your collision models here in the next video. Let's close that out. And just to check that, if it has collision, you could click this button. Sure enough, it does. And then I can close out my static mesh editor or put it on my other monitor. Alright, I'll click and drag this out. And there it is. Notice the pivot point is all off. Okay, so that's another thing we have to think about is why is that pivot point off? Again, I'm really concerned with scale right now, nothing else. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to lower it so I can go through it, and then I'll change this to game type under world properties. And find my window for that. I love that. One thing about UDK that I just can't stand is the fact that it has all these floating windows, and they could be anywhere at any one time. And if you have two monitors, it's just amazing trying to figure out where it went. Okay, no, no, no. Sometimes I'll look down here, and if it's not showing up, it's probably because I changed my resolution. So here's a little tip. You got to go back and change your appearance. You're going to see a slight resolution change. Sure enough, there it is. There's my world properties. So I'm going to bring that over on my secondary monitor and then lower this back down. So if that ever happens to you, you lose a window, that's where it usually goes, is you might have a resolution change. So my default game type is going to be UT game. And right click play from here. And what my thing is, I want to be able to make it through the door. And sure enough, I cannot. I can't make it through that door. I can shoot through it, which states that the collision model is correct, but the scale needs to be upscaled just a little bit more. Okay, again, you have to do all these at the same time, so you'll have to group them, you'll have to scale them again. This time I'm going for a little overkill. So I'm going for 4 units and a quarter. So export selection, do it again until you have it right for the entire for all the pieces. Okay, now just click on that. Click on this one right by right-clicking and say re-import static mesh. That should change the height and width, in which case I can now move it down and try to walk in it. Okay, this time, yes, I can make it through the door, and that does feel a little bit more natural. That's a pretty big door, though, compared to the character right there. So if I put this next to that doorway and kind of think about real life for a second, have you ever experienced a door that's like 3 foot more than the player should be? The answer is no. So this is the crucial phase. It does take a while to get that scale down pat correlating to the door. I can grab this group in hierarchy. There we go. So file, export selection, door warehouse, back to the UK where I reload it. And that looks a little bit better. Now you have to worry about going through the other way, like the shoulder width. Yes, I can make it through it. It feels like I'm barely making it through it though. That's good. Alright, so that's our workflow. Now let's look at how we're going to do it in mass quantities and how we're going to organize it in the next video. Oh, and collision models. So see you there.